Hi, everybody. This is Tim Johnson, and we have the lovely Stacy Borho with us today, like always.
Morning.
Good morning. And today we have Jim Seward. Is that the right pronunciation?
Correct.
Okay,
Thanks,
with
Tim.
Family Core.
Yes.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome back, Stacy.
Thanks, Tim.
Where were you at, anyways?
Oh, I decided to venture away on a little girls' trip to St. Thomas.
So you were on a mission trip, and
Yeah, not so much.
no?
I was on a mission to get away for a little bit. That was about the only mission part of that. But being in the ocean underneath that big, beautiful harvest moon on a nighttime kayak trip was pretty priceless.
Yeah, and I'm sure you love being back in lovely, sunny Peoria.
Well, I mean, we can't complain, right? These 60 and 70-degree days doesn't really make it too much of an adjustment when you come back.
Yeah, you have the storms coming in later on today and all that.
Yeah.
This is In the Neighborhood. You're on PeoriaLife.com, and we also are syndicated on Peoria, WPEO in Peoria. And yeah, you can check us out on PeoriaLife.com and look for us on Facebook, Facebook.com/Peoria Life. And
In the neighborhood.
In the Neighborhood. Yeah, don't forget Internet Neighborhood. Simple search on Facebook for In the Neighborhood should get you where you need to be.
I told you it wouldn't help to write it down.
Yeah, I know, but you get going, you get all excited, and you forget stuff. So
That's the passion.
yeah,
That's right.
it's
Still a beautiful
exciting,
thing.
Yeah, but anyways, so have you ever been on a mission trip?
I have back in the day, some many years ago. I suffered for the Lord in Bermuda as I did vacation Bible school at the naval base there.
That would be.
Suffered for the Lord in Bermuda. That sounds interesting. I guess I've suffered for the Lord in the middle of the Amazon.
Wow. Okay. All right. That
Yeah.
I'm sure would be beautiful.
It was. It was.
How about Haiti?
That's right. I actually will be leading a trip in January back to Haiti. I was in Haiti a year and a half ago.
Oh wow.
And unfortunately, we had the hurricanes that came about.
That's right.
And so a year and a half ago, I was up in Détail, Haiti, and I got to hand out 300 backpacks to little kids that came through the church.
How wonderful.
And I got to meet every single one of them. And that whole village was practically destroyed.
Wow.
So the church where I got to tie the strings around all the little kids' wrists is gone. And so the only thing that's standing still is the pastor's home and the medical center. So I'll be leading a team in January to go back to try to help. It's only $1,000 to build a house.
Wow.
And all these people are piled in. There's 200 people in and out of the pastor's home right now because
That's
his
incredible.
house stayed standing.
That's awesome. Well, I think that's just ripe. The harvest is just really ripe down there in Haiti. You are one of 3 people I know who have been to Haiti on mission trips within the last 4 years. My sister-in-law has been there twice. Just amazing stories coming from there. That's great.
Yeah, and the way they keep their families together, no matter what, they're just one big family,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So you're going to go down there January. Are you also going later on in the year?
Yeah, we're going to keep going because there's a lot of work to do. So if anyone wants to join us, they can. Because I think you guys are going to join us right over the summer.
Well, that's one of the aims for us. Yes.
We're going to work on it.
Yeah.
So speaking of families,
Family Core. Tell us
Here we
about
are.
Family Core and what it is.
That's wonderful. Well, we are, the name says it all. We are, our core mission is to make families stronger and hence the community stronger. For 116 years, we've been here in the Peoria area. And the first meeting to formulate Family Core, which was not the name at that point, but was December 5th of 1900. So coming upon 116 years. What we primarily do is child welfare. We work with the kiddos who are out of home placement into foster care. We have a lot of DCFS contracts, and we work with kids who need intense services and those who don't. And so that just regulates different contracts we have for DCFS, and we find the foster parents. We license homes for foster parents. We support the foster parents. We support the biological parents, and in hopes that we can reunify the family. At times, the court orders not able to do that, but we're going to work our darnest to make sure we can meet those goals of the court and the family. And so we have supporting departments to do that. In counseling, we have a mental health counseling department, and they help facilitate and conduct those counseling services for the child welfare kids. And we also have relationships with the community providers. We have a really good, strong relationship with Early Head Start, so we provide counseling consultation there. And we do some community counseling too. People coming in from the street needing those services, we'll provide that. And another department we have is outreach. Outreach department is really a community-based services where we are inside the school. We have 9 elementary schools we're in. We have a wonderful team of behavioral health services, social emotional learners and counselors who help the kiddos be better educators. And because we find, and it's nothing new, but we find that trauma, the kids, they deal with such a high level of trauma, and we like to call it in our world adverse childhood experiences. And there's a test we can provide with adverse childhood experience, about 9-10 questions. And so the statistics say if you have 4 yeses to this 9 questions, you have a higher chance of wrong decisions and bad decisions and negative life. And we're finding some of these kids are affected at 8 years old, some young as 6, with 4 or more adverse childhood experiences. Incarcerated parents, parents with drug, alcohol problems, single parent homes, other questions we ask as well. So this is just something that we're becoming aware of. I shouldn't say we're becoming aware of. We're aware of it, but we're being trained up on it, and the community as well is trying to be trauma-informed care, and so we're trying to plug that in, those modules into all our departments, so we can be aware of the kiddos we're dealing with. So not only, and I kind of got off the outreach, we're in those schools, but we also have a respite program, which is really the only that I'm aware of in this state. We have a DCFS contract, it's called Respite, where some of these foster kids who are in school, and because of this trauma, they don't know how to regulate their emotions. And if you say no to them, our world will say, oh, okay, I won't do it. But saying no to some kids who are traumatized, that just hits the roof, and crisis is way up level 10. And so they react and they act out. And so because of that, they would be removed from school, or parents would be called, and some of the parents would have no place to take them. Well, we have a program where they can be taken. It's called Respite, and we're blessed to have a relationship with Quest School here in town, allowing us to have that program there. And then we do some after-school programs too. And so we really want to be integrated in the community, and we have been for 116 years. And our name's changed 5 times. And about 2 weeks ago during our annual meeting, I probably knew them on top of my head, but because they were placed in short-term memory, it kind of escapes me now. But we are counseling and family services doing businesses as Family Core, and our name changed in 2010. So many people out there in the community know us more as Counseling and Family Services.
Okay.
But we have a DBA, a Family Core. So.
Okay.
I have a personal experience with foster care, and that's something that we've talked about many times. But growing up, we had like 80 foster kids going through our house from probably 5th or 6th grade through high school and beyond. My parents, I think, ended up with over 200 foster kids over the span that they were foster parents. So I have that personal, and a lot of these kids come really through this damage, broken, however you want to say it, from all the grief. As I'm a realtor, and I see grief just from moving from one house to another, and a lot of these kids are, I don't want to say pulled from their family, but often they're separated from their family into this new situation.
Yeah, just think of that, how your brain's not even mature enough to know from right to wrong, and they're going from one place to the other, and that becomes normal to them.
Yeah.
And the stability, the lack of stability they have. I mean, it's really heart wrenching. You think about it.
Yeah.
You're a little kiddo and you're moving from one place to the other, and you can't have that stability. You think at nighttime. You know, I got 3 little girls, and I get obviously an opportunity to hug them and love them and cuddle them and read to them. And these kiddos don't have that sometimes.
Yeah.
Now the foster parents, man, bravo! I love that. I love that story that your parents are that. Without them, we wouldn't be able to do this. We have over 180 homes, and I just cherish the relationship that we have with foster parents, and I've opened my doors for that. You know, we have a program director named Jamie, and she and I, on quarterly basis, we do a Java with Jim and Jamie for the foster parents, because we want that connection and that growth and an opportunity to see what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, and they're very important to us. So hearing that story just melts my heart, and I know many other people might be hearing the same thing.
Yeah. People always would come up to me and go, "Your mom and dad had to be something special to do this," and I'm like, my mom and dad aren't special. You know, it's they're special because they did it. It's not because they did it because they were special.
Right.
You know, and it's a lot of volunteerism and the things getting involved, seeing a need and doing it is just doing that, is stepping forward and doing it, rather than you have to be a special person to be able to do something like that.
Right.
So you have 180 foster families, is what you're saying? And then, so how does someone get signed up to become a foster parent?
Well, they can contact us, and we have a licensing supervisor. Her name is Megan, and you can ask for her, and I'll just say the first name, and or just contact us, and we'll point you the right direction. And there's a process. It's a 90-day process, and then there's also some classes that you'd have to take, pride classes, and you just go through the regulations and the have-tos, and do some home studies, make sure you're viable for the position, because it's a huge responsibility. Not everyone can be a foster parent. And so there's just a lot of steps, but in our hopes, it's within definitely a 4 to 5 month process. You could be licensed, and it may take longer. There might be a delay in some things, but it is the goal from DCFS that we do it within the 3-month period. So I always add that extra month or two, just because you don't know what you're gonna come up against.
Sure.
and have.
So I think there's a lot of people out there that don't really understand what it takes to be a foster parent, or they assume, I don't have enough to be a foster parent. So, I mean, what do you get? You don't have to be married. I'm assuming you'll take an individual, right, to be a foster parent, as long as their home is sufficient and they are sufficient to take care of that child.
Correct. And more information, if you're necessary, you're welcome to contact Jamie up in the program director. But yes, we would take, if you're interested, please call us. There are some great, there are great children out there. There are some little ones, there's some elementary, there's some high school. The forgotten high school kiddos who still are in residential or emergency shelters that need the home and that stability. So please contact us, and we will, as the term in the local news or national news, vet, I guess, we will make sure that if you're able to do it and you meet the qualifications, would get you licensed, for sure. It would be a privilege to work with anyone who's interested in doing so. We have talk about those kiddos in high school. I think even as the brain matures, we all have a Rolodex, right? At the end of the day, we always think, what could we have done differently? What could we have done better? And sadly, sometimes those kiddos, they don't have much in their Rolodex, and being able to connect them with a loving foster parent, or foster parent that gives them structure, gives them directions, and allow them to begin a Rolodex process of growth would be something, would be a great privilege for Family Core. It would be just an honor to do that.
From my understanding from years ago, it was like any child over 12 was harder for you to place as a foster care
Yeah,
So
sadly.
you definitely need people that are 12 years and old that would care for a child 12 years and older, right?
Yeah, exactly. You know, I've got a relative, cousin who, in the Des Moines area, being from Iowa, who did that. He adopted a 16-year-old, and that was challenging to him. And it was challenging because, you know, 16-year-old survival brain, they're going to do what they do and when they do it.
Yeah.
And no one's going to have to tell them yes or no. And so his own personal story he shared with me a couple years ago, and he was just consistent. And there were some times he just didn't die on that hill. You know, he had to choose his battles, but you know, you may lose battles during the war, and I shouldn't refer to war, but in the end, it's going to be. Right now, he's a young adult, and they've got a great relationship. But yeah, it's a challenge. It's a chance when you're going to adopt anyone over 12 because their survival brain, that traumatized brain, has been set, and it just makes things more difficult. But we want to support you. Family Corps and other social service agencies are there to support you, and we want to provide the tools to the foster parents and to help. And so we've invested some monies in a trauma-informed care modality, and hope to share that with not only my staff but also the foster parents we have currently, and the community and other human services agencies.
We know that mental health is a big focus these days because you've got, you know, the bullying, you've got suicide and all that stuff. And I'm sure that these types of upbringings aren't helping any at all. So you guys are in 9 schools.
Correct.
Do you know what schools those are, and or how kids, if they don't know about it, how are they getting to you guys?
You know, we have a great relationship with Peoria Public Schools, Dr. Karat, and you know, they've done some, their focus is on social emotional learning. And so we've wanted to change our focus on social emotional learning and being able to make that connection with the kiddos. We have 9 schools. We're at Franklin Primary, we're at Charter Oaks, we're at Hines, Thomas Jefferson. There's 4 out of the 5. You know, I just saw that the
Long
list of it.
list. Sorry about that.
That's okay. There we do have Emmanuel. We're in Manual of 2 in Manual Junior High and High School, and so they're the principals and those in the school. They know we're here. They know we're there. We're a support, and we want to be a support to the kiddos, other providers as well, and you know, we're wanting to be that go-to consistent person. You know, we have a story of one of our counselors. His name's Jared, so I'll call him Jared. And this was a story that my director, Ron, shared with me just this past week, where there's this one person in the school, one kiddo, who really no one knew what to do with. He was traumatized. And Jared said, let me concentrate one-on-one with him. Last year at this time, skipping school, grades, Fs, just not really what school for and why should he even invest. Now he's a model student after investment of the school year last year and then into the summer and then the first part of this year. The model student, is he A's and B's? Is he on school on time? Maybe not. The definition of model might be different for him, but he is attending school and he's got a smile on his face. He's more respectful. He may still not get it, you know, as far as education, but he's on his way. And so it just takes that investment of that one person, as our Jared did, and so proud of him, and also Ron with the outreach program. So that's just one of many stories that I can share with you. Our family school liaison, FSL counselors, do a wonderful job, and they're utilized within the schools for that social and emotional behavioral conflict that really denies the kiddos from having education, because their minds and their thoughts, you know, when you see somebody being threatened the night before, or they're sleeping on the ground because they don't have a bed, maybe they didn't have food, you know, it's hard to do your ABCs the next day when you're exhausted, or you know, your thoughts are on your mom and dad, or your mom's safety, or your auntie's safety, or your dad's, or whatever the case may be. So we want to be there to support those kiddos and support the school, so they can have an opportunity of education, and with that education, have an opportunity of better life.
So what do you guys need? Do you have a lot of volunteers that you need? Do you have staff that you're looking for, or how does that work for you guys?
Well, our child welfare agent department is growing. We have opportunity there as child welfare caseworkers. So we would, if you're interested in being a caseworker, working with the kiddos one-on-one, you're welcome to get online to our website and look for that application and fill out that application. We have other supportive opportunities as well. Volunteers, we have a great core of volunteers every month at our. We help the food bank.
Okay.
We have a lot of clients that are on the south side in '05, and so it takes a trip for them to go up north. So we get their food, and we serve about 17, sometimes 20 clients in ways of we separate the food. So we have a group of volunteers already, 5 to 10 volunteers. They do a great job the second Wednesday of every month. And so if you're wanting to help there, we can definitely use your help there, serving the food, organizing it, taking it even to the homes. I've been able to experience that a couple of times, but we do just a wonderful job coordinating that with the food bank. And we have a multi-service single parenting program, MSSP, and Toby Gardner. Toby does that for us. She does a great job organizing that. And that's just a service we want to give to our clients because of the hardships of transportation sometimes.
Sure.
But if you want to volunteer, give us a call. We'll find a place for you to volunteer for sure.
What is your website?
It's a work in progress. It's up and running,
Okay.
but it's not where we want it to be. But right now it's www.familycore.org.
Okay.
But it'll provide the information, interactive. We're still working on that, but it's there. We have one.
Awesome.
So how did you get started in this?
Good question. I was in college many moons ago, and I was had all my requirements for my religious education and degree and a psychological minor. I had to take one more year or one more semester my senior year for my military science because I was being commissioned into a military's army. And so my advisor said, you need only 3 more classes to be a psychology major. Had I not had that advice, all of this would be nothing. So I graduated with a religious education psychology degree with a military history minor, was commissioned into military. Went into the ministry at Youth for Christ, Kansas City for about 3 years. Had to go home back to Eastern Iowa for a personal matter. Tested as a law enforcement officer in Rock Island, Illinois. Was there for almost 7 years. And then first part of my career as a law enforcement officer, they said, you have a college degree, why are you here? Because back then you need GED in high school to be a cop. So after many things that I saw and experienced, I realized this is just not for me. For self-care, I left and I got into social services agency working at Catholic Social Services up there in Rock Island. Worked with the population of juvenile sex offenders for almost a year. And I said, if I want to do anything in this field, I have to have higher education. So I went to Western Illinois. I got my master's, licensed professional counselor in the state of Illinois. Worked with, during that time, Rock Island Youth Service Bureau as an optional education therapist. So I was in the schools doing that. And then I got into clinician at Gannon Center in Eastern Iowa. Then I got my licensed mental health counselor license in Iowa. Had a private practice for about 4 years, and while I was private practicing, I realized I want to get my doctorate so I could know more. So I worked on my doctorate. During that time, I was also instructing community colleges, and I've been teaching on the side for 9 years in community colleges, Ashford University, Kaplan, as much as recently as Liberty University Online from Lynchburg, Virginia. I'm an online instructor there still currently. And so when my gift, her name's Lila, my wife and I were pregnant. My wife was in banking for 18 years as a VP. She'd done all the loans and worked her way up, and she wanted to stay home with this one. So she said, get a real job. So that means get one with insurance, right? So Youth Shelter Care in Fort Dodge hired me as a working executive director and clinical director. And so I started a psychotherapy center up there to offset our emergency shelter. We're the only standalone shelter in the state of Iowa. Usually a lot of those emergency shelters are within residential treatment centers. And so I just wanted something more and bigger and closer to home. We have family in Quad Cities.
Okay.
So I applied for Peoria. And
Here you are.
I was blessed to be chosen out of a handful of applicants, a large group, I guess. But yeah, here I am. So a lot of great opportunity. Family Corps, been around for 116 years. We're going to continue the mission. We're going to continue doing what we do best. And we're going to move forward and impact this community positively, make it stronger, and continue being that pillar so we can help the families.
That's right. That's awesome. So do many of your foster parents become adoptive parents, or is it strictly foster?
No, that is a goal. We do have a department. We do have a division of our counseling is for adoption. So when that goal does change, it goes from a caseworker to adoption. We have a wonderful staff working on that goal for families. And, so yes, they can become adoption parents. But we also have private adoption. We're Hague accredited in our adoption agent for private adoption. We have two wonderful adoption workers there, Bethany and Sarah, who, we're inquiring an adoption from Denmark, but Denmark's different, and there's a lot of roadblocks there but it's one of my understanding, first of its kind, and we have that opportunity with Hague accreditation from COA to do that. But I've met many people who we've had an opportunity to work with the goal of private adoption, and what a gift that is. I wish we could celebrate more, but I have the privilege to sign a piece of paper I don't know if it's finalize it or to approve it or whatever the case may be, and I'm thinking, where's the confetti, man? Where's the balloons? Right. Where's the trumpets? It's just ho-hum in an office, and it's just a wonderful gift that parents and families can give of themselves. And I've got a friend in Iowa who said, what a selfless act. And she's like, selfless? No way, man. This is selfish. I want this child. Yeah. And so it's just a different perspective, but in a way I could see her point. I just love that families are, families aren't blood anymore. It's the heart,
That's right.
And it's just wonderful to see. It's a great opportunity.
Wow, time's already up for us today, but really appreciate your time today. Jim Seward of Family Corps, thank you.
And make sure that D's being said on my last name, because it's not Sewer,
right?
But Seward.
Seward.
Yeah. So flashbacks of the trauma I spent as a kid.
Right.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks a lot, Tim. Thanks, Stace.